Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about two animals you'd probably never think have anything in common. But their story, well, it uncovers this huge, hidden flaw in our whole economic system. And it might just point to a radical new way to save the planet.
All right, so let's just start with that simple question. You've got seals, right? Sleek predators of the sea. And then you've got beavers, these kind of buck-toothed, dam-building rodents. I mean, what on earth could they possibly have in common?
Well, here's the thing. The connection between them has way less to do with biology than you'd think. It's actually all about a hidden, fundamental flaw in our economy, a flaw that's pushed them and so many other species right to the very edge.
So yeah, this isn't just some nature documentary. Think of it more like an economic detective story. We're going to uncover why we seem so programmed to destroy nature, and more importantly, how we might just be able to stop. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so our story begins right on the front lines of conservation. We're talking about the really hands-on, day-to-day work of saving individual animals. You hear it right from conservationist Peter Smith. At places like dams, they're in this constant cycle of rescuing these baby seals, nursing them, and then releasing them. It's an incredible amount of work, finding these animals when they're stranded or hurt, and just dedicating everything to giving them a second shot at life.
I mean, it's this endless, crucial cycle, right? You find them, you patch them up, you teach them to survive, and you set them free. But here's the big question. This amazing work saves individuals, for sure, but what happens when we zoom out? What's the bigger picture here?
Well, it turns out these animals aren't just, living in their habitats. They're actually the architects. They're what we call ecosystem engineers. Just think about a beaver. A single beaver can set off this incredible chain reaction. It doesn't just build a dam and create a little pond. No, it creates these complex, amazing wetlands that act like a giant natural sponge. They slow down floods, they filter out all sorts of pollutants, and they basically create a paradise for countless other species. It's a total game changer. And this is what you get. Just look at that. This is the end result, a healthy, rewilded river. It's clean, it's resilient, it's absolutely bursting with life. And it's all because we just stepped back and let nature's own engineers get back on the job. And believe it or not, it's pretty much the same story, just underwater. Seals are basically the wolves of the sea. They keep the kelp-eating critters in check, which allows these huge, vital underwater kelp forests to flourish. And those forests? They're massive carbon sinks, sucking up millions of tons of carbon. So here's the key takeaway. These animals are providing these incredible planet-saving services completely for free. Okay, so that leads to a pretty obvious and kind of uncomfortable question. If these animals are so important, so crucial to the health of the planet, why on earth did we almost wipe them out completely? The answer really comes down to how we think about property. See, for a long, long time, a lot of nature was seen as a commons. It was a shared resource that the whole community looked after for the long haul. But then, private property became the name of the game, and the entire incentive structure just flipped on its head. Suddenly, it wasn't about long-term care anymore. It was all about short-term profit. And Peter Smith just lays it out bare. When man can make a buck, he will make a buck. It's that simple. And that profit motive, which is basically hardwired into our economy, is what led to the hunting of gray seals on an industrial scale. I mean, we hunted them until there were fewer than 5,000 left in the entire world. The drive for profit just steamrolled any idea of taking care of things for the future.
And don't think this is just ancient history. This exact same logic is at play right now. We have these completely backward incentives, like farm subsidies, that literally pay landowners to destroy wildlife habitats. Your tax dollars are encouraging people to farm on land that should just be wild, creating these barren landscapes, these agro-deserts. We are literally paying people to wreck the environment. But okay, against this pretty bleak backdrop, there's a really powerful new idea gaining ground, a hopeful alternative. And it's shockingly simple. Just step back and let nature heal itself.
And you can see this in action. All across the UK, you've got these incredible projects like NEP and Ennerdale that are showing what's possible. They're reintroducing animals like beavers, they're letting rivers run wild again, they're stepping back from intensive farming, and they are literally bringing entire landscapes back from the dead. But there is a catch, a huge one. See, rewilding is all about embracing chaos. It's messy, it's unpredictable, it's a long-term game. Government policy, though, it's the exact opposite. It wants everything to be neat, static, controllable, and measured in short-term goals. These two ways of thinking just don't mix. They're like oil and water.
So this forces people on the ground to get, well, creative. Charlie Burrell from the Net Project basically says he has to jump through these ridiculous hoops. To get the financial support he needs, he has to pretend he's a farmer running an extensive farming system. He's essentially getting paid for not farming, but he has to call it farming. And this little workaround, it perfectly highlights the real deep problem here.
Which is this: if we really want to save nature, we can't just tinker around the edges. We can't just change how we manage land. We have to go deeper. We have to change the fundamental economic code itself. The problem is baked right into the system's DNA.
So what's the solution? Well, there's this old idea that's suddenly getting a lot of new attention. It's called a land value tax. And the core concept is really simple. Stop taxing things we want more of, like work and business, and instead tax the value of the land itself. Just that one shift could change everything. All of a sudden, it becomes really expensive to just hoard land or let it get degraded, and it rewards people who use land productively and sustainably. Okay, so that's a really powerful foundational idea, but it's also, a pretty old one. So the question is, can we take that concept and give it an upgrade for the huge environmental challenges we're facing today?
The answer is a big yes. There's this brilliant modern twist called a biodiversity tax credit, and the idea is just so elegant. You figure out the ecological value of a piece of land. The healthier it is, the more life it supports, the bigger the tax break the owner gets. So just like that, restoring nature stops being an expense. It becomes a direct financial reward. You're literally getting paid to rewild.
And that brings us right back to where we started. We began this whole journey by looking at someone rescuing a single baby seal, and we've ended up talking about redesigning the entire global economy. It just goes to show you, sometimes to fix the small, tangible problems right in front of us, you have to be brave enough to tackle the biggest systems of all.
Because in the end, this isn't really about putting a price tag on a seal or a beaver. It's about asking a much, much deeper question. Right now, our economic system effectively values nature at zero. It's just an externality. But a new system, a better system, could be built to recognize its true, profound worth. So the final question really is, which world do we want to build?